Hi there, I'm Miles Peterson, and you're watching the 3D Engineer. And today I've built my miniature Federal Signal Model 5T Siren. As always, this is a requested siren by a lot of people. A lot of you guys wanted this siren, and a lot of you voted for it, so here it is. I also did several votes and polls on YouTube, whether what color I should make it, what the port ratio should be, what the model should be, and apparently, altogether, it all boiled down to red Federal Signal Model 5T, and this is 912 port. Now, it is pretty much guaranteed at this point that I will be selling these, and especially my Model 5s, because these sirens are pretty easy to make, and they're very loud and very customizable. Much with the real thing, I'm going to have multiple port ratios available, 12 and 8 port single tone, and 912 port dual tone. Anyway, let's not keep you waiting, and let's do an overview and test of the siren. Alright, here's the Model 5T up close, and I think we'll just start with the top here. Here I've got 5 M2 screws. These are just wood screws, although Imperial size 2 screws, number 2 screws, should fit here as well. So I did make that pretty universal. Here I've got the eye bolt, and this goes to the top of the siren's hat, which is this part, and it sticks down and connects to that angle bracket in there, which further connects to the bottom of the siren. So that's actually kind of keeping this whole thing together. I'm unknown of the size of this thing, but I'm pretty sure it's the same size as an Imperial number 2 screw, so that should give you just enough guideline. But really, any size will work. Here we've got the louvers of the siren, and here we've got the air intake. There's just some window mesh that I put there. I believe that's plastic window mesh. Very easy to cut through. You could also use metal. I'm pretty sure that's what Adon uses on his Model 5s and 7s, so you could also make that choice, but I had this available. Anyway, that's just super glued on, and we have a similar story down here. There's the Federal Signal Corporation logo. That's just a printout sticker. Fun fact is, that's actually the same exact size sticker I used on my Model 2, which is very similar to this siren, but they're not proportionate at all. My Model 5 is 8th scale, and my Model 2 is only quarter scale, so 4th scale. So those two aren't good for size comparison, but these two are. This is my SD10, and this is also a 912 port siren. And I just wanted to show you, these should be fairly proportionate to each other, given that they're both in the 8th scale. But yeah, they're both USB powered and both driven by 130 motors. And this one here, the Model 5, has a couple pitch reduction resistors, just to regulate the pitch a bit more. My SD10 does not. That's just because running the motor directly to 5 volts gave me the right pitch, so I was able to get away with that. Anyways, setting the SD10 aside for now, we can now focus back on the Model 5. And here I've taken off the eye bolt, and now the housing should just pop right off like that. And now we have the core of the siren exposed. And I did just print the inside black. Not exactly sure what the proper color was, so I just made it black. Here's the motor cover. We just have a little USB cable sticking out right there. And inside of there, again, there's my 130 motor and a couple pitch reduction resistors to regulate the pitch a bit more. We have this little ring, and another fun fact, this part is basically identical to the base of my Model 2. The only difference is the location of the screws, just the distance. I needed to change that so they would fit on this motor cover better. But these are M3 screws, not M2, so you'll need 2 sizes of screws, probably, to make this siren. But it also could fit an Imperial screw, but I haven't tried that, so I don't know what size that would fit. But on the top here, we've also got M2 screws again. Also could get away with Imperial. And from there, it connects to this V bracket, just like the real thing. Here we've got the air intake, and there's the 912 port rotor. And, well, again, I'll bring back my SD10. And yes, these sirens are proportionate, but the cores of them are very differently sized. The rotor of this guy is 66 millimeters in width, and this is only 57.15. And that sounds specific, but the reason it's specific is so it adds up to a proper fraction. But anyways, these are still 912 port dual tone, and basically the rotors and stators on these are basically the same. I did kind of remodel them so it would be scaled down a little more, but with a little bit of revisions, I was able to make them fit on both of these sirens pretty well. Alright, the Model 5 is hooked up, and I've got my decibel reader here in the corner. I just have it up close to the siren, so do expect to see a pretty high reading on there. It's already reading like 80 decibels just by me talking, so it's gonna pick up quite a lot of sound. I will mention, though, that this siren is nowhere near as loud as my Model 2, and I'm not exactly sure why, because the cores are pretty similar in size, but that's not important. But regardless of that, this thing sounds awesome, and it's loud enough for me, so let's just carry on. Do note that the pitch is a little tiny bit on the high side, but again, so is my SD10, so it's just kind of hard to get perfect pitch on 912 port Sirens for me, but that's alright, and I think it sounds great enough that I could probably sell this thing. In fact, I will. Alright, now let's not keep you all waiting. Short alert. Oh yeah, did I mention the wind down on this is fantastic? Yeah, I made my top and bottom layers on the rotor pretty thick. And I did a similar thing on my STH-10, which seemed to work well, so the wind down on this thing is pretty authentic. Okay, short attack. And there you have it. Alright, I hope you all enjoyed. That was a quick overview and test of my miniature Model 5T Siren, requested by you. As with the rest of my Sirens, 3D files will be available to download for free on Tinkercad for 3D printing. You will need an account on Tinkercad to download them, but that's free and I do recommend it. But overall, this Siren was very fun to make. The only real problems I had was maybe tight tolerances on the rotor and stator, and even more than that, it was probably dealing with overhangs, because these cone pieces, these louvers, it's a pretty steep overhang when 3D printing, but I was able to get away without any support on both of these eventually. On Tinkercad, I will have 12-port and 8-port single-tone, as well as 912-port dual-tone with this model. Those will all be available for 3D printing, so choose your favorite port ratio. 8-port should be low-tone, 12-port should be high-tone, and 912 should be, of course, dual-tone. So you can make this thing sound very different. It all comes down to what you want. And before we wrap up this video, I would like to mention that it's September, which means my birthday is actually coming up here on the 9th. And on my birthday is actually when I turned 13 last year and started this YouTube channel for the first time ever. So I'll probably end up doing some sort of celebratory sound-off with a bunch of my Sirens. So you might want to stay tuned for that, as that is coming up in just a couple days. I'm Miles Peterson, and you stay creative.